Here's my audience. My specific purpose is I will persuade my audience that ESL students should be given the right to take standardized tests in their native language. And my central idea is that ESL students should be given the option to take standardized tests in their native language because otherwise they have an unfair disadvantage, they don't feel confident, and the schools can lose funding. Imagine this, your dad gets a promotion. Great, right? Here's the catch, you and your family have to move to China. You don't get a choice, and soon you're all the way across the globe, away from your friends, and enrolled in a brand new school. The worst part is, you don't know a lick of Chinese. Now it's time for standardized testing, and you sit in a classroom staring at a test booklet that you can't read a single word of. How are you expected to succeed? This is the situation that 45 million ESL students across the country are facing today, according to the National Center for English Second Language Learners. ESL students should be given the option to take tests in their native language because otherwise they have an unfair disadvantage, they don't feel confident, and the schools can lose funding. I have done research on this topic to give you accurate information. After this speech, I hope you understand why this is unfair for English second language students. First off, let me explain exactly what an ESL student is. As you can see from my slide, an ESL student is a student whose first language isn't English. The number of ESL students in the US is growing according to the National Center for English Second Language Students, and not all standardized tests in the US are offered in other languages. For example, one big one is the ACT test prep test. College placement test is not offered in any other language but English. The main reason tests in other languages should be available is because it is unfair to these students. ESL students have an unfair disadvantage when taking standardized tests. These tests don't show what a student knows. And these tests can decide a student's future, such as the ACT, and it's unfair to put that pressure on those students. Because this situation is unfair, it can lower students' confidence. ESLs will have lower confidence when taking standardized tests. These students already have stressful lives. They've just moved from a completely different country, and they are in a completely new culture that they don't understand, and they can't even speak the language. Many of us get test anxiety even when we can understand the test. For an ESL student, that feeling is magnified. Also, lowering ESL students' confidence is the last thing we want to do. According to McMahon, confidence helps their English skills grow as they learn to communicate with other people. When all of these factors are combined, it can be bad for the school as well as the scholar. ESL students can cause schools to lose funding when taking standardized tests. Many states give funding to schools based on their test scores. Because these students will perform poorly on these tests, schools can lose funding. The funding loss could be used to help these ESL students succeed academically. Hopefully, now you understand why ESL students should have the option to take standardized tests in their first language. Clearly, when an ESL student is forced to take a standardized test in English, everybody loses. We need to support these students to become the best they can be. We can do that by making all standardized tests in the United States available in their first language across the country. Just put yourself in their shoes and the answer is clear. We need language equality in America. And here's my references page.